Today's exercise we're going to talk a little bit about is how to use these tools, particularly this training stick or long arm, I like to call it. And when students first start out, it seems like everybody has the same concept of what this is. It's not a whip. It's anything but a whip. And when I changed the name of it to a long arm, it became very much better in terms of the terminology, and people kind of started to get it. So I did do a video on what the long arm is, but I'm going to talk a little bit more today about something that's really important to your horse, particularly if they're sensitive about some of these pieces of equipment that are new to them. Some horses are very affected by anything that you have that has a wiggly line to it and might look like a whip. And so for those horses, this is a time that's even more important, and it may take you more time. Remember, your horse is in charge of the timeline. You just need to be in charge of the knowledge. So now Dreamer is not, this is my horse Dreamer, he is not afraid of the stick, but I'm just going to kind of pretend he is. So one of the first things that you will need to do with your long arm is to pick up this string. And if you find that it's difficult to kind of hold that string together and not make it wiggle, you can take it right off your long arm. But what we're going to do first is kind of show him this and allow him to smell it. Now this may be enough to really frighten your horse. And if it is, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to ask him to come out of my space a little bit. So if I were to put this stick up and he was afraid of it, I'd put it back down again. So I'm always going to find the spot that brings him comfort. So if it's just this high, that's all I do. There are some horses where I wouldn't even start here. I would just walk around the barnyard with it in my hand, just like it was a long arm. I'd kind of carry it with me and just get my horse used to seeing me with something different in my hand. But we're assuming then that that has happened. The next thing would be to play something called approach and retreat. And that means I'm going to approach the scary thing, whatever it might be, in this case the stick, allow him to sniff that. And if he puts his head away or backs away from it, then I certainly am going to take a step back away from him. So we're never going to go past that threshold. So this might take you a little bit of time, but once your horse can accept the smell of it, perhaps you just kind of like rub his nose with it. And a nice little, again, putting your heart in your hand and just a little bit of a circle rub. Again, you wouldn't go there if he was afraid of sniffing it. And if he was afraid of sniffing it, you wouldn't go there. You would just maybe have the stick in your hand while you work your way around the barnyard or around your stable. So this is called approach and retreat. So I'm going to go as far as my horse will allow me to go, and this is where reading your horse starts to come in. So what I'm going to do is watch for his head to go up, watch for his nostrils to get big, for his eyes to get bigger, for him to stop blinking. And of course, with Dreamer, he's pretty calm with this. You don't want your horses to be afraid of the tools you're using, because there's no sense to that at all. It just makes things worse. So if it were that I had permission from him on the nose, what I might do is I might start here at the chest or at the neck. If that's a yeah but spot, and horses have yeah but spots, I might start down here. But if they're sensitive in their legs, some horses are okay with you being up here at the withers. Wherever your journey takes you with this stick, you have to remember that your horse is going to tell you when you need to back off and retreat from what you're doing. So we'll just set him up here again so you can see. Just going to get outside of you. Now Dreamer's a very sensitive horse. You can see he's put his head up there. He said, are you going to ask me to do something? So I would probably retreat and go back and maybe start down here with him. So the name of the game here is, where can I go until my horse feels uncomfortable, and then I'm going to retreat back to where he was comfortable. And again, this may take you a long, long time. So I'd kind of work my way. You want to be able to touch your horse in every spot. You see I'm using, it's almost like that little black thing at the end of my long arm is my hand, and I'm going to rub him on his tummy. And again, be very careful with areas back by the sheath or the udder in a mare, because those are very sensitive areas as well. Again, approach and retreat. So again, you don't have to go behind your horse in order to do this. I've got my line here, my training line, and I've got 4 feet of stick here that I can actually play a little friendly game or confidence game with that stick. So that being said, this will give you an indication of where some of the spots that he's not confident in. And again, you're not going to go past that spot. You might take 4 or 5 days or 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't matter. We don't put timelines on horses. We learn to read them, and we learn to figure out where their threshold is and then back off to a spot where it's going to be comfortable for him. So that's kind of like a little approach and retreat game with your stick, and pick up your string. And then the next step you could do is go back to doing exactly what you were doing, only this time I'm going to let that string drop. And again, I'll go back to, is it okay here? If he's giving me permission here, then I might go a little bit further. Now this changes things with the string down. So again, be careful. If that's too much for him, pick your string back up again and just kind of leave it in a little bit of a wow here, so that it's kind of moving, but it's not moving in a bunch of places. It's kind of moving towards him and towards me. So again, where does my horse feel uncomfortable with this string, the string on my long arm moving? And then of course, the ultimate would be to make sure that your string is down and to go through the same process. Just forget about where your string is. It's just going to travel where you are. And again, find the yabbut spots. But by golly, read your horse. If your horse is unconfident in any way, back right off and go to a spot in your training that he feels good and confident. And then stay there for as long as you need before you progress ahead again. So I hope that helps you a little bit. Practice makes perfect, and we'll see you next time.